Masa al khair, good evening, and a very warm welcome to all our participants who have taken the time and joined us for this event this evening. My name is Mona Al-Arfaj. I'm joining you from Harmony House, Kuwait, who actually organized this event with Bahrain Meditation Center. Today's topic is a very interesting topic, spirituality as a business tool. As we are facing many challenges at the moment, I think we need tools, we need some powers to be able to face these challenges that we are passing through and that we are witnessing. And I think economic and business is one of the most affected areas, as we can see on our world. So today, our special guest, Mr. Nizar Juma, will actually share his experience on this topic. Brother Nizar is actually has a very big CV, but I will try to share the essence in a few lines. So Nizar is a graduate in economics. He had a stellar career in commerce and industry. He is actually best known for being the manufacturer of Adidas for 49 countries in Africa. Nizar has also been actively involved in a voluntary capacity as a chairman of the board of the Aga Khan Development Network and their special welfare activities, including hospitals and also in their for-profit companies. Nizar is also a chairman for 50 companies. He received the Silver Star Award in Kenya and the Bharat Gaurav Award in India for social contribution to the community. Nizar has been a meditator and actively involved with the Brahma Kumaris Spiritual University for the last 28 years. He is the initiator of the Future of Power project, which was held in over 69 countries in the world. Nizar has partnered with like-minded leaders from the United Nations and from others to create the Blue Company project to fight against the corruption in Africa. I have known Nizar actually for the last 10 years. He has been really an inspiring figure for me. Just seeing him, how he manages all these companies, all these big portfolios. So thank you, Nizar, for being in my journey as well. So actually, before I hand over to Nizar, I just want to say that we have the Arabic Zoom link for those who need Arabic translation. Sheikha from Kuwait, Sheikh Al-Arfaj is taking the translation today. And also, if you have any questions, you can write them on the chat board. And after the session, we will have some question and answers with Nizar. Nizar, I know you are a very busy businessman, but thank you very much for joining us all the way from Nairobi. And thank you for this precious time with us. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Muslim contingent. I want to say Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Mona, for that very flattering introduction. What I do want to say, however, that Mona did not know me 30 years ago when I was a very different person to what I am today. In those days, I probably managed about 4 or 5 of my personal companies. I was constantly stressed. I was a very angry young man, and I made life difficult for everybody. But fortunately, 30 years ago, I adopted spirituality into my life. And I began to become civilized. I think that's the only word I can use, is that slowly I started to change. I became less angry. I became less egoistic. As I brought in more and more of spirituality in my life, I also began to be less stressful, and I might add, more successful in everything I did, because until then, I also managed my family the same way I managed my businesses, and that was the rule of the gun. Even my children, once they saw the difference that I was bringing into my life with spirituality, they told me, "We don't know what you are doing, Dad, but whatever it is, please don't stop." So they were also welcoming the change that I was bringing into my life. So as I became more civilized, I enjoyed this life. And so more and more and more, I adopted it. I gave up alcohol. I gave up smoking 40 cigarettes a day. I gave up my very crazy social life, which was 5 nights a week out and very, very late nights every day. And slowly, I also adopted a vegetarian diet. I have a planning intellect, so I started with red meat, then white meat, then fish, then shellfish, and so on. The last thing I remember I stopped eating was caviar. So I'm talking today about spirituality, not religion. And I think that it's important I make this distinction. Religion is something that we all are born with, and since the time we are this high, we are told that's your religion, that's the best religion there is, and all the others are inferior. All religions tell you the same thing. All the children are told the same thing. And also, in a religion, you adopt, all the major religions have adopted one day in a week. If you're a Christian, it's a Sunday, Muslim Friday, Jewish Saturday, Shiv Monday, and so on. And you call that your holy day. And you talk and think and do religious things on that day. And generally speaking, the view is that we will focus on God on that day, but the rest of the week, then let's do what we want and not mix the two. And this also happens very much in the business world. With spirituality, there are two distinctions. One is that spirituality does not combine with religion, so we are all spirits. Mana, we are all souls. So we don't take into account our background of color, creed, religion, country, etc. We belong to one Father. And since we are all spirits belonging to that one Father, it doesn't matter what our background is. We are all spiritual. So we belong to the spiritual world. Now, So when you adopt spirituality, you bring spirituality into your everyday life. So if I, for example, decide that from tomorrow, I'm not going to give sorrow to anyone, I have now started adopting spirituality into my life. The other thing is that I have chosen the subject of business and spirituality, but actually business is a very wide subject. And even housewives are basically business people. They run the economics of their home. They are the CEO of their home. They control their children, their family, their education, their economics, their everything. So basically, everybody in one way or another is involved in business. So I'm not separating just purely business people, but I think everybody is in part in business. But I relate to business because I come from the corporate world. I, I belong to the corporate world. I work in the corporate world. So I understand the business world because that's what I do every day of the week. And so when I talk about combining business and spirituality, I'm talking from a practical point of view because I am not devoid from it. I'm not separated from it. I'm not uh, different from it. I live in that world. So I understand it. And so hopefully that I relate to what business people go through um, every day of their lives. So spirituality into our world, our everyday life. And this becomes more and more important in today's world because nobody needs a lesson on what's happening to the world. Our GDP of the world is already dropped by 5%, already dropped. And there are so many forecasts now going on about where will the world be, how big will the recession be, what will be the level of unemployment, and all of those things are now being talked about. And so things are becoming complicated, more and more difficult. So each one of us is now being faced with so many challenges in our everyday life. Challenges with our family, with our business life, with our social life, with our every life, every part of our lives is being affected in one way or another. And we are all looking for solutions. What is a way in which we can cope with what is going on in the world? Now, if we are to face all of these challenges that we are getting, yet one way is that we become more and more dedicated to what we are doing. More of our lives are being dedicated. But you see, we are also being faced with difficult life to face with our families. There are depressions, there are things like that which are not an occurrence where you can run to somebody and say help. So more and more and more, and I have personally found this very, very helpful to me, is that you need to become powerful from within. And to adopt spirituality in your everyday life has now become necessary. That means in order to cope with what's going on in the world today, I need to adopt spirituality and ways in which to become powerful. How can I be powerful from within, so that whatever the world is throwing at me, I'm able to cope. I'm able to handle it. I'm able to bring a certain other strength into my everyday life, because everybody agrees we need it. We need this additional strength. So there are lots of things that I have brought into my life that have helped me a lot. But in order to simplify things, I'm going to tell you about 5 or 6 things that each one of you can bring into your life to make your life more powerful and more spiritually adopted. So, if you are ready, we'll start. There are 5 things that we need to do, 5 or 6 things. And the first thing is, we are all thinking all day long, and we are thinking in various ways and various different things. I need to bring control into my thinking. Now, there is a quality of thinking. There is at the bottom of the ladder is the vicious thinking. Then there is waste, then negative, then neutral, then positive. So, negative, vicious, I hope that we have grown out of this and people don't no longer have those very vicious thoughts. But if we do, we need to get out of those vicious thoughts. And where we have waste or negative thoughts, lots and lots of things come into our mind. Somebody tells us, or we listen to the news, said, this has happened. Then we start multiplying this in our mind. This has happened, then that will happen, then that will happen, then that. Oh my God, this is going to happen. And so we bring those thoughts to a negative level very quickly. And as a result of that, we become very, not only negative in our actions and talk, but also negative in our behavior. Negative, we actually think that those things are going to happen, and so we become depressed. 99% of those thoughts don't actually happen in a practical form. They don't. But in our own mind, we've already brought it to that negative level where we think the worst is going to happen. So the first thing that we need to do is to control the quality of our thoughts. In Raj Yoga, we call this traffic control. That means we have to check the traffic of our thoughts. Every hour on the hour, we need to check what are we thinking about. We need to think about what we are thinking about. Is it vicious? Is it waste? Is it negative? Is it neutral? Or is it positive? And when we find that we are thinking about waste or negative or vicious, we need to stop. We need to change those thoughts. And we need to either make it neutral, no thoughts at all, or to convert it into positive, because we know that 99% of those negative thoughts don't happen. We've just made it happen here. And so we need to start controlling the quality of our thoughts on the hour. Stop just for half a minute, 1 minute. What am I thinking about? And start changing those thoughts. Second is the number of thoughts that I am thinking about, because this mind is a machine. It just keeps on thinking. When we are quiet, or when you are listening to me talking, your mind is producing between 10 and 15 thoughts a minute. Just keeps thinking. When we are in a condition of stress or anger or fear, the number of thoughts multiply. They go to 30, 40, 50 thoughts a minute. The more the number of thoughts, the less powerful is our intellect. So you understand what the intellect is. Intellect is the power to decide. Intellect tells you yes or no to this. But as the number of thoughts increase and we get into 30, 40, 50, 60 thoughts, the intellect is no longer there. It's gone out of the window. You remember when you get very angry and you are thumping tables, the vocabulary goes out of the window. You can't think anymore because the intellect is not there. That's why you start swearing. And if anybody is trying to talk to you, you say, no, I know what I'm doing. But you don't, because your intellect is not there. The same thing is happening when you are under conditions of stress. Stress means there are too many thoughts. It means the intellect is not there. You are not in a position to make decisions. In Japan, for example, very senior people are not allowed to drive themselves to a meeting of importance because they get stressed on the way driving their own car. And by the time they get there, the intellect is no longer functioning because they are overstressed. So you can imagine how many times in a day you get stressed or you get afraid of something or you get angry. Whenever any of these things are happening, the number of thoughts are multiplying and your intellect is not working, so you are not capable of making sane, logical decisions. Fortunately, the opposite is true. So instead of 10 or 15 thoughts a minute, if you bring the number of thoughts down, which is our purpose, from 15 to 10 to 5 to 2 to 1, that's when your intellect is the most powerful. So when people tell you that I can multitask and I'm doing 5 things at the same time, believe me, they are spoiling all of them. It is better to spend less time, but to give your entire focus to that one thing that you are doing. But you are doing it well because your intellect is the most powerful. Also keep in mind that your thoughts travel. When you think positively or negatively about somebody somewhere, they get that thought and you also get the response of that. You can experience this yourself if you don't believe me, is if you have a bad relation with somebody, you bring that person into your intellect every day for 30 seconds and send vibrations of peace and love, and you will see the next time you see that person, that wall between you will have come down because your thoughts will have traveled. If you start giving bad thoughts to somebody, also remember that wall is building. And next time you see that person, the relation will not be positive. Okay, so our idea is control your thinking, do traffic control, bring your thoughts from 15 to 1. This is also the basis of meditation. Meditation teaches you to focus on what's important. Who meditates? 60 to 70% of the top CEOs in the world meditate. Majority of the major hospitals in the world use meditation as a cure for major diseases. I have a 7-year-old grandson in Sydney. They teach him meditation in school. In any major gathering, if you ask that gathering who meditate, 60 to 70% of the people there will tell you, whether they call it meditation or quiet time or contemplation or whatever it is that they call it, but they spend time with themselves in a quiet place. So meditation is the second most important thing after learning to control your thoughts is to learn how to meditate. Now, meditation is the first step in learning to meditate is to know that you are a soul and not that you are a body with a soul somewhere. Because we all talk about the soul. When somebody dies, we pray that his soul may rest in eternal peace. We say he was a good soul, he was a bad soul, he was whatever soul. But in practical form, we don't regard each other in our everyday lives as souls. So we need to learn the first thing before we learn to meditate is who am I? And the answer to that question is I am a soul with a body. Not that I am a body with a soul, not the wrong way around. I am a soul that enters a body in the 5th month of pregnancy. When it starts kicking in the womb, the soul has entered the body. When the soul leaves the body, we all know, we say it's dead. Now, without the soul, the body is nothing. If the soul has left the body, you can bury it, you can burn it, you can do whatever to it. There's no sense, no feeling in that body. So everything that a body is because of the soul. The soul sits here. That is the command post of the soul. From here, it sees, it smells, it hears, it talks, it does everything from here. The soul is controlling the body and not the other way around. So the answer to that question, who am I, is that I am a soul, I am a point of light, like a shining star. I sit here. Why can I not be seen? Because anything which is important, the more important it is, the more subtle it becomes. Air, which you are breathing all the time, if you don't get air, within 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you are dead. That's how important air is. You know it's there, you are breathing it, but you can't see it. Anything which is subtle. Water is very important. It's color. It's colorless. Like that, as we become more and more important, it becomes more subtle. So you can't see the soul. You know it's there, but you don't see it. The same thing happens with the Supreme Soul. We all talk about God being light. All religions talk about it as God being light. In a Muslim religion, we call it Nur. It's Nur, Nur of God. So, God is also a point of light. It's subtle, but I know it exists. So, meditation is first that I control my thoughts and bring it from 15 to 1. Second, I focus on the fact that I am a soul, a point of light, and that God is also a point of light, and I need to fuse. I need to get together with the Supreme Soul, that's the point of light. That, my dear friends, is meditation. You need to practice this. You need to get together with God whenever you can and practice this meditation every day. So, once you start this practice of meditation, you will learn more and more how to do it. In the beginning, you might not be able to do it for more than half a minute, then a minute, then 15 minutes, then 30 minutes. You need to find time in order to learn meditation in a proper way. I have given you the basics of how to meditate. Now, you can learn to meditate. You can go to a Raj Yoga center and they will give you a course in meditation. They give you a 7-day course. If you are in a hurry, they may even give it to you in 3 or 4 days if you are nice to them. If you don't want to go to a center to learn how to meditate, you can learn it even on a website. Go to a website. It's called www.learnmeditationonline.org. Now, I've given you all the ways. You have no excuse anymore not to learn to meditate. So many people in the world who meditate tell you that this is the one important thing in life that will stay with you all your life. It will give you power. It will make you strong from within. And it will enable you to handle difficult questions, problems, parts of life that are coming to attack you every day. Once you get into this habit, we treat God as being something or someone or some energy. It's very impersonal. But actually, God is your Father. You can have a relationship with God. You can have a relationship of a father or a teacher or a true guru or anything else that you wish. But the most important thing is to have a relationship with him as a father. Every time you want to do something important, you start something new, you spend half a minute. I am a soul, a point of light like a shining star, and come together with the Supreme Soul, who is also a point of light like a shining star. Come together, discuss what you are going to do, whatever it is, it's new, it's something that you are starting, something new venture you're embarking on, something difficult you are going to handle. Do this. Spend 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes before you start anything new, anything which is difficult, anything which is a problem. Do this every time. You keep doing it. You will see the result of what I'm telling you. You need to build a relationship with God. You need to be able to talk to God. You need to be able then to also receive from God. You need to connect. You need to have the ability to connect. Try it. Try it once, try it twice, try it 5 times, try it 10 times. Try meditation. If all of that fails, then you can send an email to me through Mona and say Nizar Juma talked a lot of rubbish and we wasted our time and energy. But I am talking to you from experience. I'm telling you something that you need to start. This is something new for you. Please give it a try. Give it a shot. You need to cultivate this. You need to develop this. Eventually, you need to meditate at least for 45 minutes to an hour every day. That is then the next step. Once you've learned how to do it properly, then you will do those things. Now, the third thing that I need to talk to you about today is you have to stop giving sorrow. This is the third principle of Newton. You remember in school, you were given these principles of Newton, and the third principle of Newton was every action has a direct and opposite reaction. Do you remember? This is that it's also called the philosophy of karma. In Christians, they say, as you reap, so shall you sow. As you sow, so shall you reap. And in all religions, there is something about the philosophy of karma. This is not just a philosophy. It's not hearsay. It is the truth. If I give you sorrow, I have to take sorrow back. I give you happiness, I'll take happiness back. I donate money, I'll get money back. Simple. It's logical. We think that it happens to everybody else, but not to me. But everything in this world is just. We sometimes see somebody who has given lots of sorrow to everybody. He has looted, he has taken money from people, he has done all kinds of things. And then he dies. And people say, so where is justice? What happened? Then we see in the developing world a little child that's suffering, not enough to eat, malnutrition, all kinds of things, diseases. And we say, where is the justice in that? But we don't put the two together. Every action has a direct and opposite reaction. If you give sorrow, you get sorrow back. If you give happiness, you get happiness back. We are all the children of God. So if we go to God tomorrow and say, God, I have done something ill to him, my brother, you please forgive me. Can he forgive? Will he forgive? Because if he does, the one you've given sorrow to will go to his father and say, what kind of justice is that? Only the one you give sorrow to can forgive. So please keep it in mind. Don't give sorrow. My life today is a combination of all the past karmas that I have done. I cannot control my past because I'm already here. But I can control my future. If I do not give sorrow, I will be able to have a better future. Also, you need to stop the blame game. Every time something wrong happens to us, the human race is an excellent resource to blame somebody. This happened to me because you did that, you did that, you did that, you did that. That's why I am blameless. But actually, it's exactly the opposite. I am paying for my own past karmas. I am either paying them well in happiness or not so well. But every time something comes up for which you need to pay, you can either thump tables and get angry and say, why does this happen? Or accept it as a bill that has come to you for your past karma. Pay it without thumping tables. You will become lighter. Your life will become easier. Don't give sorrow. On the other hand, don't take sorrow either. I've got enough of my own. Thank you very much. I don't want to take yours. That doesn't mean I don't listen and I don't try to support, but I don't want to take anybody else's sorrow. I have enough of my own. Thank you. Fourth point, don't be angry. Stop anger. Everything that you do in anger will result in an action which is negative. It will never result in something which is positive. I have been a very angry man most of my life. Believe me, I know. When you are angry and you yell at people, they don't listen to you. They switch off. They are thinking the dog is barking again. They're not listening. They've switched off. Anything that they do as a result of anger will be negative. So control your anger. Do everything without getting angry. Not only angry here, but also angry here. You need to. All of us, even I, every now and again lose it. But we know that the result of that will not be positive. We need to cultivate this spiritual life where if I am not angry, I'm also egoless. I'll be ego-free. I will have less ego. Because ego and self-esteem are the opposite side of the same coin. If I have very big ego, know that I have very low self-esteem. That's why I have a big ego. That's why I talk about what I am and how I am. And do you know who I am and how important I am? Because I have low self-esteem. So think about this. If I want to bring my self-esteem up, I want to bring my ego down. And ego and anger have some relationship. So we need to think about this. Okay, this is the fourth point. Fifth one, you are what you eat. You've heard that saying? You are what you eat. We need to think about what we are eating. If at the time of that eating, we think about that there is sorrow in that, if a life has been killed in order for us to eat, then we are also taking in those vibrations of sorrow. I know that this is not something easy to do in 1 minute. But we are talking about improving the quality of our lives. We want to try every area in which we can improve the quality of life. It took me best part of 6 months to convert slowly. As I said, I started with red meat, white meat, this and so on. And but at the end of it, we want our life to become happier. And we only do things if our life as a result of what we are doing becomes happier. Otherwise, why would we do it? You know, at the beginning, when I started changing and dropping alcohol and smoking and partying and all of those, one of my friends, he sat with me and told me that, listen, I want to ask you something. By not going to parties, by not smoking, by not drinking alcohol, by not being a vegetarian, by not having a social life, and so on and so forth, how can we have fun? Explain that to us so we can do it as well. He was telling me this in a sarcastic way. But it's something to think about. I told him, you're quite right. There is nobody that's forcing me to adopt a spiritual way of life. I'm doing it of my own accord. And all the things that you have described and what I am doing, the spiritual life must be giving me more pleasure than my past life. Because otherwise I'm free. Nobody's stopping you. I don't sign a contract and say, I will do a spiritual way of life. I don't need to do it. But I choose to do it because that is a better way of life for me. And so I think that until you try it, you will not know what an experience it is. The other couple of things I have been asked to talk about today, and I must keep one eye on my watch. The Future of Power is a project that I initiated about 10 years ago. And I'll talk about it a little bit in that we get people from 20 different professions, whoever are the top of that profession together, and we have a dialogue. And we have done this so far in 69 cities all over the world, particularly in India, in the Philippines, in Australia, in America, and so on. And the purpose is that we discuss about the power of spirituality and whether it makes sense for them to bring spirituality into their everyday life. And a lot of people have agreed. I think that we've altogether spoken to probably about 50 to 60,000 people. About 4,000 people have actually attended our dialogues. I'm talking 60,000 in our public programs, and probably I don't know how many have watched it on television. I think we've had at least 50 to 70 television programs of this. So that is the future of power, is how to bring spirituality into your life. And then we share experiences of what people do in order to bring spirituality into their lives and what success they are having in doing this. Excuse me. Now, as a result of the Future of Power program, I have also started something called the Blue Company Project. And the Blue Company is that if spirituality means introducing soft power into my life, then one of the soft powers is to run businesses without corruption. And we are doing this through the Blue Company Project. So far, we have already got the concurrence of 500 major companies who have joined the Blue Company project and who have signed to be corruption free. Not only that, but the CEO of each one of these companies have written to each member of each employee of their company to tell them that if they indulge in giving or taking bribes, then that will be regarded as gross misconduct. So, as I said, 500 companies have already joined. This also takes courage. As Mona told you in the beginning, I am chairman of several of the companies of the Aga Khan Development Network. And one of the philosophies of these companies, not only the ones I chair, but others that I don't, is that we are totally corruption free. And each one of these companies is in the top 25% of their industry. So it means that not only are they corruption free, but that they are also successful despite the fact that they are corruption free. They are in the top 25. Some of them are in the top 1, top 2. I chair a publicly listed company which is corruption free and which is number 1 in the industry, not only in my own country, Kenya, but in all the surrounding countries in Uganda and Tanzania and Burundi and so on. It's number 1. Totally corruption free. So this is possible. It's possible for us to bring soft power, because this is also part of spiritual behavior, to be non-corrupt. We've started this here in 6 countries in and around East Africa. The CEO of Tata Steel told me that when you've got to 1,000 in Africa, we will introduce it in India. In Manila, they already told me whether I would start it in the Philippines. I told them it's not for me to start, it's for you to start, but we will give you backup. So there is need for something like this, and we can see that this can become a worldwide project. So this is a part of a demonstration. The other thing I would advise some of you to do is that try to do something selfless every day. This is possible. By selfless, I don't mean, get a word of notes and give it to somebody who is wanting it. It's not what I mean. I mean that we need to do a selfless act to or for somebody that makes us think in a different way. It changes the concept of our life. Do something selfless every day. Next is schedule a personal meeting with yourself every day, once a day. Whether this is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever you can afford, try to schedule this meeting with yourself. It's important because then you start to think what you are thinking, but not only that, but think about what you are doing. Is that positive? Is that negative? Is that something which is spiritual? Is it something which is positive for mankind? Is it something which is negative? Are you happy with what you are doing and continuing to do it every day? Stop. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever time you can afford, but schedule it in your diary. and have that meeting with yourself. You can also use that time to have a quiet time with yourself. You need to do this. We need to go through a process of change. If you do not innovate, you will not change. You will therefore go into a rut. This applies, in business also, we do S curves. You know S curves? Once you started, you promote a product, the product goes up here, then you need to innovate and produce another S curve. If you don't, you will die. That product will die. There are so many companies. Recently, think about Kodak. Think about Raleigh bicycles. Where are they now? Pilkington Glass. So many companies like that you can think about did not innovate. Because they did not innovate, the S curve went down, they died. In our lives also, we need to innovate. We need to bring newness into our lives. We need to bring newness into our relationships, whether that relationship is with family, with business, with wives, with husbands, with friends. If you don't innovate and don't bring newness, that relationship will die. The innovation also brings newness and also brings excitement into our lives. I have given you 6-8 things to think about and to adopt today. You can adopt none. You can adopt 1, 2, 5, whatever you decide to do. But think about it before you decide to adopt, which one to adopt, or not to adopt at all. But think about before you decide what you will do today. Because innovation is giving life to the future and giving a better life to the future. I think that I have reached my time schedule. So thank you all for listening to me. I hope that I have said something which is not too much for you or too hard for you. But I speak from the heart. I tell you how it is. I tell you what I have experienced in the last 28 years since I have adopted spirituality and how it has helped me to improve my everyday life, to improve my business, to improve my everyday life. It's not just that I become a better spiritual person because to be spiritual is good, but it has helped me to improve my everyday life. That means the quality of my life. That's why I share this with you. And I hope that you will be able to adopt something from it that is useful to you in your everyday life. Most important is learn how to meditate. Thank you for listening to me. I hand you back over to Mona.
Nizar, thank you so much. That was very inspiring. So many comments. People are really appreciating what you have shared. It's all from the heart and it really touches the heart. So thank you so much. So I'll take a few questions. One of the questions was like, I have a stressful life in the office and she can't stop her mind from thinking. I think you touched on this, but anything more you want to add on on this? Like sometimes, yes, we go to the office, we might be meditating in the morning, but I think this is a very good question. We all go through this. While you are in the spin of work, you forget. So anything more on that you would like to share?
As I've already said, stress is a result of too many thoughts happening without the benefit of the intellect. You have to stop, because when you are stressed, it means you've got too many things happening in your head. There is no intellect. Intellect is in the soul. Intellect, when it's not working, cannot give you the power of judgment. The power to judge is the intellect. You cannot make decisions when there are too many thoughts running in your mind. You have to stop. You have to stop. You have to go into soul consciousness for half a minute. You have to connect. Then your intellect comes back. You are able to think again with the power of the intellect. This is physical. You need to do this. You have to force yourself to do it. The other thing is that stress is not planning. Stress is a result of being surprised by something for which you have not planned. You will see that if you start thinking ahead of everything that you are to do, think ahead reduces the advent of stress. If you don't allow yourself enough time, if you don't focus on one thing at a time and you try to handle 5, 10 things at a time, this is an invitation to stress. There's no way to stop stress if you are not focusing on what's important. So learn to meditate, learn to focus on what's important, learn reduce number of thoughts so that your intellect is always powerful. That is what I would say to you. Handle stress in that way. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Nizar. Another question is that how can one contribute to some of the projects you have shared?
Well, if you're a company, you can become a blue company. You can start a project. We will help you in every way possible. You know that in the countries where I live and in the surrounding countries, it's a very, very corrupt environment. I say this openly. Every day there is a situation where there is corruption going on all the time. People tell you, our kids are growing up today saying, why do I have to work if I can get money through corruption? Why should I work? So I think that's how you join. That's how you become corruption. Don't say I'm only one, what can I do? You are the one that can do. You are the one that can start. We also have a website for the Blue Company. We have a website for also the Future Power. Join in there. See what people are saying. Understand their experiences. And slowly you'll get into this, of how you can become part of the change and not just say so and so and so and so and so and so is doing it. I can do this. You can make the change. You start it, and then people will follow. If you do it from the heart, if you do it from the ego and say, I will look good, it will not succeed. But if you do it from the heart and say, I'm doing it because I wish well for me or my fellow mankind, that's why I want to do this, it will succeed. I promise you, each time it will succeed.
Wonderful.
So do it. Go ahead and do it.
And Nizar, you can share the website maybe at the end of the questions.
Yeah,
because
sure. But you see, it is a future power. If you're going to just future power, that's what it is. And the one for the blue company is also the blue company. And then I don't know whether it's CO or ORG, but it's one of those. I can check it for you before the end. Thank you.
wonderful. Another,
I've already told you about the learnmeditationonline.org if you want
yes,
to learn.
that is already noted. And also, just for everyone who's listening, there's also Bahrain Meditation Center is also offering Think Positive, Empower Yourself. It's every Monday and Thursday for 2 weeks, and we can put the ad at the end. So I think, Nizar, you have given very good tips, very, very practical tips. But also seeing the situation now, you know, a lot of businesses are running down. I think a lot of businesses are closing. Do you have any, advices, suggestions for those who are going through this tough situations?
I think that's what I started with. Situation is bad, will get worse. I need to become more powerful from within. This is various things that I have said. You need to become powerful from within, because for how long will you go here, there, asking, please help me, help me, help me? For how long? To whom will you keep going? You need to have a relationship with the supreme power. And I know this sounds crazy that, I am now in woo woo land, but I am not in woo woo land. I promise you that. I am a serious businessman. I am responsible for companies which are multi-billion-dollar companies. I'm not talking rubbish. I am talking from experience. I promise you that you will get success in doing what I'm telling you. Have a relationship with God, your Father, the Supreme Soul. Start it. See how much help you get. See how much independent you become. See how your thought processes will be powerful. See how new ideas will come to you. I'm telling you, this is from my experience. I know it's hard to believe, but do it before you say no to me. And then I told you, if you have done what I'm asking you to do, test it a few times. Not just tell me I did it for 1 hour and nothing happened. Please give yourself a chance. Learn to meditate, learn to communicate. Every time you start something new, you communicate, connect, have a relationship with your Father. Then you will see the experiences I am talking about. Okay? You can Google me. You can check what I'm doing. You can check the kind of companies I am responsible for. You can talk to my people and my CEOs that am I totally crazy or am I sane? Then decide whether I'm talking sense or not.
No, of course. I mean, that's very inspiring. I mean, I can speak for my own self. Of course, my experience is only 10 years, but I could see the effect also of meditation with my work and with the colleagues and with relationship. It's just having that clarity of your thoughts in your mind. So I think we can end with some moments of silence. And Nizar, I don't know if you want to share some last thoughts, or we can just, well, that was amazing. Thank you so much. And many are asking for some other sessions with you, Nizar. So maybe we can schedule something in the future as well. So we'll be having some silent moments now, just being in the soul consciousness, being aware of who you are, connecting to the Supreme. And thank you very much, Nizar, again for your time. And at the end, we will announce for the coming sessions. Thank you. Thank you all for joining today. So we'll be having meditation now. Hope to see you, Nizar, sometime after the corona in the Middle East again.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be very happy to be there again.
Yeah.